And I think we're live. Alrighty. Hey Mark, how are you doing? Welcome to Code Hangout number 55. Let me just check. Are we live on Twitch? Yes. And YouTube? Code Hangout number... Yes, indeed. We'll just do... Nope, not that. That. Yes. Alright, I think we're up and running. Sweet. So today I want to look... I'm actually going to look at Cosmetic Selection first, because I have a suspicion that should be the slightly simpler and less intrusive update. So we have a better chance of knocking that one out quickly. And then perhaps moving on to the diagonal lines, which is probably the feature people have really been asked for. But you know, I've been doing Bremster's puzzle pack lately, and man, the Cosmetic Selection seems so attractive for it. All right, so I'm gonna have a quick look at your code diff. I'm guessing it'll be a little behind the times. Let me see. All right, so can we do a compare? So we can just look at the differences here. And what do we get? I should probably make everything a little bit bigger so it's easy to see in the stream. So I am presuming this is all noise that isn't actually part of it. Palindrome. Mine has Cell Cosmetic. Okay, so there is a whole bunch of new stuff in here. Cell Cosmetic. Ooh, okay. Ah, but that's it? Huh. Equals Jack 0. What's going on here? Palindrome. Cell Cosmetic. So these are things you've added. Gotta be a bit careful, because this should really be feature driven, not mechanics driven. And I'm guessing this is the selection stuff. All right, let me create a branch. See that we're up to date. All right, and version, what version are we in? Staging, here we go. So we are on 0168.3. And I'm gonna... Where'd that go? Yeah, just buggered off to a different screen. And it's not EU that I want, it is this guy. Sweet. Ah, we're in the wrong project. So, the other branch was called feature slash yada yada yada. Let's keep that up. I hate not working on the project for so long in between. And I guess we're gonna integrate that into the Smart Select. I think that should do. And I'll move this down here. Ah, it's strange now that I don't hear this music for many hours every day, but just once a week. So, oh, that's why. Let's get in there. 3, 2. So, Smart Selector. Okay, so we had 5, and I'm guessing you added Cosmetic as the lowest tier. And in the future, it might actually make sense to have kind of the elements be almost ranked, kind of like a Z order. So generalize it to anything, right? So then we can actually order the cosmetic selections as well. So for example, an even odd should override a background color, that kind of thing, you know. So you've just added that into the switch statement as well. So you've basically just added cosmetic back here, okay. So did you add cosmetic as an actual feature of the cells? I'm guessing not, right? Because this code probably doesn't have that kind of thing in there. So let me see. This.puzzle.currentPuzzle cell cosmetics.filter. All right, we want to be careful with filter calls. They're a bit expensive. All right. Let me just comment this out a bit for a moment. How often does this get called? Because I think this might get called a lot. Maybe, I'm not sure. Maybe not, because we're just generating a function that we're then using later on. And where was my test puzzle here? Let me just use this one. Probably a better... Oh yeah, actually let me just... let me open one of Bremster's. So we have a reference here. Maybe like pinball. First one, maybe. Because of course, on my local testing, I can use the full lengthy URLs, which you were struggling with, I think. Yeah, so this is a very basic, even odd type thing. So we can just put that there. All right. So, okay, so it hits it once. That's fine. That's fine. And then the rest of the work is done doing feature creation. Let me create a second one here. So, doing feature checks. (2287). So feature check. Where are we here? Puzzle features, cells match, cells contain light, feature check, extra feature. So what did you add under feature check? If checks. I'm just trying to kind of get a feel for the different things you're doing here. So you added this line here. What does this line do? Let me just check that I'm... Hey, Mr. Maddox Jones, how are you doing? 2292, yeah, that's why I'm double checking, because I assume it is. If type of checks key equals function. Type of is not a function. Those brackets potentially can cause issues. Return res and res checks key. Wait, if type of checks key equals function. Switch key size. Feature check. So you added something that we can pass functions in there, or was it already passing functions in before? Check. Check equals... Wait, check if is array checks. We return checks key. Switch key checks. It's assuming checks is always an array. When would it be a function? Okay, so it's not a bug fix, you added that, okay. Shouldn't it still be an array though? Shouldn't be the array, like, so we can pass in an array of functions? All right, let me get that in context, because the feature check is a, the kind of features that go in there is kind of specifically for these kind of things, If if I recall what's going on. So you've done something here in palindrome. So are you treating palindromes specifically? Or is that work about my kind of flippant comment about adding, like being able to double click on a palindrome and it gets you the actual element? So it's adding features for each item in a palindrome. Yeah, let me put it in, but comment it out for now, and then check that we really need it. We'll do this. All right. So cell cosmetics is really the important function, I presume. And this goes right above. So that's the last one added. 25, 30, 25, 30. So you added that right after Sudoku X. Underlays, overlays, lines. Underlays, overlays, lines. So what are you doing here? Okay, so this is what you're passing in. Is that what the function feature is for? So that instead of a list of elements, you can pass in a okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. So it accepts an array of elements, an individual element. Maybe it was the regex that I was like. I'm trying to remember what my intended use was there. Because it looks like it would be needed for that case that you're using here, and it looks like that is the. Let me just do this. This is the workhorse. So if I don't have the function support, this will break, I think. All right, let me just see what else I need to take care of here. So I think that's actually the only addition required, right? To generate these cosmetic elements. So I'd like to actually look at the data that it produces. And so the question is, does this break right now? Because I've, so I should be able to look at the framework, and let me make this a bit bigger so we can see what's going on. So make this a bit bigger, and we can get rid of these the timestamps for now. Timestamps. Man, it's such a mess, this menu. App dot. I think this is not where the feature. Oh, maybe they are here. Cell cosmetics. Okay. So it doesn't find them here just yet. So feature check cell cosmetics. Let's see what this does. (252) because you're looking at width and height, right? So you're basically, I mean, the truth of the matter is that the original CTC in theory has arbitrary, shapes that can be placed, but in reality, most of the time, 99% of the time, Simon and Mark just set puzzle background colors and stuff by literally just placing individual square blocks over each cell. So if it's 2x2 cells, they actually place 4 blocks rather than 1 block in the center of that space with a 2x2 height and width, All right, so we're coming in here, but it's not actually finding these cell cosmetics just yet. And that could be because of this type issue. I keep scrolling after I've collapsed everything. So Let's have a quick look at this. Let's see what that says. So, okay, is edge Boolean function, right? So we were relying on the type of feature we're looking at. Because the idea, I think, what my idea, my original was, my God, words, say them. So for example, instead of passing in a function, I had custom sort of selectors like this. The idea being that this data should not be JavaScript code, but it should be something that you could store in JSON in the future, right? So the idea, so instead of having arbitrary function support, maybe we should have something like width less than, for example, right? And then that just does this on the inside with the width, and then just width less than, and then 1, right? So for example, yeah, the thing was also this was kind of designed to match against stuff incoming from existing data and sort of decode fpuzzles data and things like that, or existing puzzle definitions. So it's all very heuristic driven. So this is, for example, instead of passing a function, I have len width, a minimum, len maximum, count min, count max, which is basically the same thing. So if that's the only thing you're doing here, I'm wondering if it might make more sense to carry that forward. Let me see what else you're doing. So we're concatenating these two, and we're filtering them, and then we're for eaching them. Right. And then what do we exactly do? Probable thermo equals cosmetic.rounded. Let me think. Because I'd like to maintain the... Okay, fair enough. So, thermoline feature, color, cosmetic.background color. Thermoline feature. Cosmetic around an end, lines.filter. .sum. I don't like the use of sum. I don't know if sum is a function that's... Because I'm not using it anywhere else, so I would prefer not to introduce one. And this is kind of like a compact way of doing something expensively that could be done probably simpler with a basic loop. All right, so what are we really checking for? So we have the width, height, is on edge. These, I think, were already there, right? Or did you add them? Is on edge. Or is that something new? Ah, you modified it. Whoops, how did you modify that? Let's compare these quickly. Equals check 0. Check 0. And this equals check 0 is on edge. Because I think this is just a Boolean. Oh, to enable a negative check. Is that what this is for? Because this would return true or false. So the idea is that it's not just a presence check, but it's a Boolean check. Okay. So that's what you were mentioning as a bug fix earlier, I think. Okay, cool. All right, that's fine. I don't think these changes are relevant, right? In the HTML. They're probably something else. All right, so then it's basically these functions. I think the only functions we're doing are these width and height checks. Width, height. I'm just thinking right now, should I have greater and less, or should I have a singular width range, and then it just takes an area of 2 elements, right? Or even a size range. Like a almost like a collision check, right? Let's see. Size center. We have a size check. Check includes part height and check includes part dot width. That's when width and height are the same. Yeah, I think we'll do that, right? So we'll do a case min size and a case max size, just so things are, or actually reverse, right? It's case size min, size max, just so they're in line with the other ones. I mean, to be honest, I personally like this sort of thing because it means later on you can arbitrarily throw anything in there, and then later on you can decide if you actually need it that way. But for now, I try to avoid that. So part dot height size min greater or equals check 0. And we'll do it for width and height. And then if we ever need width and height separately, which is very unusual in a Sudoku, they're not really biased that way, then we can always do that. So smaller, size max, smaller, smaller equal. And this means width is smaller than 1, so we can do size max 1. And now we should no longer have a feature check type function in here at all. And if I look at this and look at the cosmetics, I'm also a bit concerned that we're generating, I don't want to generate too much of this kind of data, you know? Like, for example, doesn't that hit the renderer as well somewhere along the lines? Like, doesn't it throw those at the renderer at some point? I guess currently that's just getting ignored. All right. So we don't need this for now. We allow raw functions. Now, let's have a look at our selection part. No, because I want to, so the first word matches, same as these. I'm just style matching here. Okay, so let's look at these one by one, because you've kind of abbreviated. What's CC here? Cell cosmetics, okay. These should be strict checks. Always do strict checks in JavaScript. Alright, so I'm just gonna go through these carefully one by one, so I know what they all do. Think of this as a lengthy code review. Set val.length equals 0. Set val is an empty string if the length is 0. That's odd. Because, wait a second, you're turning... Why are you extracting an array from a filter call? That's always an array. Wait, what happened here? Yeah. So filter already creates a new array. So you're just taking an array and pulling it, creating a second array from it. All right, so this gets an array of stuff. If length is 0, cell val is empty. Because I'm doing this all over the place here, aren't I? All right. And then cosmetic equals true. Cosmetic equals Is this something that's dependent on local data here? No. So this should come out of there. Right. Cosmetic round equals rounded. Seeds. So what we can do is we can do something like this. Cosmetic. Do this. Then we can get rid of these. Make it a bit shorter. Now, is this the only check we want to do? Because if we just want to check all the properties, there's probably a easier way of doing that. Do we want to compare all of them? No, because we don't want to compare center, I guess. Yeah, you're not comparing center here. Okay. This and this looks similar. Are these the same function? Cell cosmetics. This dot puzzle dot current puzzle cell cosmetics filter C0 C. So this is what gets us all the cosmetics for a given cell. All right. Sorry, I'm partially decoding my own code here because I haven't looked at Smart Select in a long time. So the selection function takes a cell and needs to return true or false if that particular cell matches. Okay. So const get cosmetics C. And it's basically just going to be this, right? Right. And then here we can just do this. And same with here. Cosmetics find if return all matched. If cosmetics is 0, then this should always return false, right? So we should do that check first. We should never execute all matched, right? There's no way that this can be true if we have no cosmetics on this current cell. So if cosmetics.length equals 0, turn false. Not cell walls sum. So sum returns true or false if it finds the element. And cosmetics.find cc. Find cc cosmetics equals cc car cell val. My brain. So I'm just gonna do this quickly so I can get my brain around what we're actually looking at here. So I'm guessing if I double click this now, it will give me one for each of selection value. So 1 second, the selection function gets executed where? Make selector. So we're creating a selector for this, and we're executing that on cell list 1, 1, 5, 1. So the question is, why is it these cells, right? So for example, row 8, 1, 4, 6, 9, 1, 4, 6, 9. So this gets executed once for each cell val. Cell cosmetics. Ah, my brain. So let me just check the chats. So we have a cosmetic here. Row 7 content. Why do we only get this? Oh, okay, because that's the one I clicked on. Fair enough. Oh, yeah. All right, right. So current puzzle cosmetics are here. So there's 21. This is obviously not 21. So these are get cosmetics. So these are the cosmetics off the cell I clicked on. So that's the square cell. Now what I'm not sure is why is selection function getting called on these? This grid.getCellList, right? Selector. And the selector is there. I'm just curious where this cell list came from. Because shouldn't that be all the cells? Yeah, it gets all the cells. Alright, so cosmetics are laying. Okay, so it gets cosmetics for each one. Okay, so it's already skipping all the ones where we don't have cosmetics. Alright, fair enough. So this is all the ones where we have cosmetics. Okay, now I'm on board. And now we want to loop through the cosmetics. Because the problem is, alright, these cosmetics are all the cosmetics for this one. Cosmetics equals CC car. And CC comes from where? Okay, so let's do some currying. And we're just gonna do this. Alright. So basically now calling cosmetics equal on a cell gives us a function that compares whatever you pass to it to the cell that you're passing it to, if you know what I mean. Alright. So. And now we should be able to call cosmetics equal for each of cell val. Now cell val is one sec, my brain. You're passing car is a cosmetic. You're passing a cosmetic. Okay, so cell this is the cosmetic of the selection value, and the reason this is an area because you obviously could select multiple and stuff. Sorry, no, because a cell could have multiple cosmetics. Okay, now I'm getting why you're having two loops. So this is for each cosmetic, you're looping through each cosmetic. Wait, isn't cosmetic and cell val the same thing here? Why are we calling cosmetic? Oh, because it's the cosmetics of the target cell. So we have two sets of cosmetics, and we're kind of doing a. All right. I'm catching up very slowly, but surely. So, these are two cosmetics. All right. Cosmetics equals. So CC is not sensible here. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna loop through it slowly. And then we're gonna do... So these are the cosmetics of the current guy. We're also gonna loop through these. Call them CC2. And we're going to do this. Sorry that I'm going a bit slow. I just want to make sure I understand what's going on here. After all, when it's all said and done, I'm responsible for the code in there. Alright, so true, false. So for example, well, let's do CC1. So CC1 would be cell. So CC1 is the one we clicked at, and then CC2 is the cell we're looking at. So it doesn't match the circular cell, but the second one it matches. Okay. So that means we can do this. And basically do a find. Now this will give us an array. My phone is flashing. Oh, it's charged, that's all. Ah, I dropped the cable. All right, I'll fish it up later. We need an extra brace here. All cosmetics of the other cell must be found in the other cells. Does it do it? Should it though? I mean, it might make sense. Like if a cell is, let's say, an odd cell plus the head of a thing, maybe I want to select all odd cells. You know what I mean? So it's not a given that we want to select everything one way or the other. You know what I mean? But it might be. It might be. Cosmetics.find cell wall for each. Cosmetics.find cell wall for each. Why does that come back as undefined? Ah, because we're not mapping. I'm an idiot. Alright. Alright, so sometimes we'll get an area undefined, sometimes we'll get a thing. And this would be a match. So the first one is not a match, the second one is a match. Not a match, not a match. These are the matches. And find should be undefined. Ah, and that's why you're inverting it. Okay, I see what you're doing. So if the find is undefined, then we have our failure, and then we're skipping out. So we're ending up with this. So now if I select that, so we have a false, true, yada yada, and if I select a circle, we should have a true, true, false, true, true, true. Yeah, okay. And then we can just return that. All right, I think this is all we need. Do we need the length check? If cosmetics is of 0 length, find should always... find will always be undefined. Why did you have that array check? Because if we could get rid of it, it would simplify the code a little bit. Basically what I'm saying is, why don't we just put this here and get rid of these two lines altogether? And then the whole function is going to be super simple. You know what I mean? Is there a circumstance where this will screw us? Let me bring up a puzzle with some kind of lines as well. And not this one. These are all puzzles from Brems's latest puzzle pack, by the way. You should check it out. Where from? I'm not entirely certain. But if you go to his YouTube channel, you can probably find it. By the way, how do we check that an item is fully enclosed? Is on edge false, has feature. Because the is on edge check is on edge. Because this doesn't check for partial things. It might, okay, here's an XV one. Let's double check that one. Because if something is sort of shifted off center, it might not work. Hey, Juke Man. Spock Nation. How are you doing? So, for example, these don't react to the smart select, but these do. All right, let me keep looking for one that's more interesting and / or problematic. Corner circles probably will be on edge true as well. Crop dots will probably also be on edge true. Okay, let's try something like this with some lines in it. Although this doesn't have anything that this smart select will pick out, I think. So if I click here, yeah. I mean, it would be interesting for whisper lines, for example, to select alternating cells and stuff like that. I mean, you can push this quite far in some respects. I mean, it's obviously diminishing returns. And at some point, it might be easier to just have the app understand what's going on. Okay. So that works. All right. That's an interesting test case that works. I like it. Yes, I am the developer. A developer. The developer. Final boss. All right, so here we go. Let's see. So I can select these. I cannot select arrowheads, okay, because they're part of the line. All right, that looks good as well. I mean, again, ultimately, this needs to be tested in the field on lots of puzzles. Now, these are these palindromes. Okay, so these are palindrome lines. I don't know if they would be recognized, though, because they're not standard colors. So here, I'm guessing your palindrome check is relying on it passing through. Okay, I'm happy with this part of it. So I think we're just going to do this. This function is going to be relatively simple, actually. Just like this, similar to the other ones. Let's have a quick look what that looks like. So we've added just this one-liner here. So the cosmetic is a cell val, an if, and a cell function and break. Boom, done. Then we have get cosmetic and cosmetics equal up here as helper functions. That's fine. And we have the fix to is on edge to allow a negative check. And we've added size min, size max. And then this is basically the decision making for what we consider a cosmetic that we pay attention to. Thermal line feature. Lines. Cosmetics. Probable thermo. So the question is, can't we rely on the existing thermo check? Why don't you just look at the existing thermos, which already been checked for with all of this? I'm just wondering. Because the thermal algorithm is quite a little bit more complex than what you've done here. If not probable thermal. So you're excluding thermals here? All right, so the only thing I've not transferred is what you were doing with the palindrome. So what are you doing in the line has cell cosmetic feature. So what exactly is this palindrome update for? You changed it to a minimum thickness. And cell cosmetic features. So is this supposed to add palindromes to the selection capabilities? Because it adds a lot of code, so I'm a little hesitant. So we have these 3 lines replacing that 1 line. Line has cell cosmetic. Line feature, line palindrome. So first of all, you're adding underlays and overlays to the dependencies here. Feature check cell cosmetic feature. Is that the same as what we have down here? Cell cosmetic feature. Let's just see. Probable thermal should not be detected as a separate feature. Well, like I said, you might actually want to click on thermals on each cell of the thermal incrementally. But yeah, it's probably just confusing if we were to add it. Size max. So I guess we can size max here. Is on edge false. Background color. So you're adding this. Yeah, you see, so the problem with this is that the thermal color, this is not a thermal color, right? It's just what I used. Sorry, palindrome, because that was the common use palindrome. So this feature check doesn't actually work. So obviously copying something in that doesn't work might be a bad idea. Yeah, it's the hex color, but, you know, people use different colors for palindromes, so currently the system has no guarantee. It can't use the color detector palindrome, right? Because it could be a whisper line or whatever. The palindrome change is not required. It's not used anywhere. What do you mean it's not used anywhere, though? Did you try to implement a palindrome check? Like, I'm trying to see what it's supposed to do, right? Because like I said, it would be cool if I could click on this cell and it would auto-select the other one. But it's probably unnecessary, and maybe it would be better to start it with just the single cell features first and then think about line features at a later stage. And then we have less changes to worry about, and we can get that code a bit tested, and then in the future we can always revisit it, you know? You change this to a minimum thickness. Again, you know, these checks aren't perfect, and they never will be, right? They're heuristics, so we cannot have a system rely on them either. Let me just check the Discord chats. I'm on the stream chat, so... A thermal was detected as palindrome. The problem is, what if the palindrome has that line thickness, right? I see. Line has cell cosmetic. Well, since these aren't actually used for anything internally right now, so let's leave them out. Let's keep the code change simpler. Alright, so I just removed some lines. Probably shouldn't have done that. We've added these two. I'm gonna remove that reference actually for now, because that's actually not required. We have the check here, which we can shorten again now. And get rid of this. If not probable thermal. Okay, thermal line features. That should probably be on the outside. So it doesn't create that constant every time it goes through this loop in here. And I think that should be it. RC. Do we need RC? Ah, we're using it later. To RC. Alright, fair enough. I don't like the capitalization in here. Is that what I'm doing elsewhere under types? Yeah, no, I don't want to have issues with capitalizations here. Let's see where that's case sensitive already. Cell cosmetics. Current puzzle cell cosmetics. I think that should be it. So, cosmetic is not defined. 2521 cosmetic. Oh, because oh yeah, all right, my bad. No, that has to be in here. You're right. Probably don't need a const here for that. This should also be like a carryable function here, where it's just a function that takes an argument. You know what I mean? Feature check, part checker. Like, you know, I could do something like this. Part checker checks part. And then it just does this, you know. Basically. And then we can do where was it? Feature check. So const line checker goes part checker. Pass that in there. And now we can just do this filter line checker. Cosmetic is not defined. All right. Reading filter. Part checker should return a function that accepts a part. Did I screw that up? 3192. 3192. 3192. And puzzle. So that still should be capitalized. Alright. Alright, do I have anything with more complex features to check? Maybe something with killer cages? Although killer cages are handled quite separately and natively, so I don't think it would get confused by that. Yeah. I'm just going down the list of the puzzles from the puzzle pack. Here we have one with thermal circles. Let's see how it handles those. So it currently selects thermal circles. Is that what you were trying to... No, the constant... Yeah. Is that the thing you were trying to fix? I mean, personally, I don't mind the thermal circles being selected. At least it's consistent. But I think you were trying to prevent that, right? Although, yeah, you did... I I guess it would have to be an extra check to make sure a thing isn't a thermal. Probable thermal. So the probable thermal check is failing. Part checker. Let me see. Probable thermal false. Now, in these cases, it should be true. Hey, Andy Whittaker, how are you doing? So let's see why probable thermal fails here. And I'm guessing it's some sort of presumption, maybe the color, because these aren't gray thermals or something. Or because the color is taking transparency into consideration and the transparency just is different. So for example, yeah, the transparency is different. So you're checking for lines that match. I'm almost tempted to exclude transparency in the check. The problem with color is that the colors could be all sorts of syntaxes, not necessarily just hex. It could be 3 hex digits, it could be 4 hex digits with alpha. So without actually normalizing the colors and running them through some complex CSS decode process, it's a little... I mean, we could do something like this. So then we could say color, no, what am I doing? Part dot, and this is just color dot. How do I slice it, by 4 or by 6, depending on the length? Dot length equals. So it would be 4 digits and a hash. So if it's length 5, then so we would do something like this. Let's just write it out in long form. Dot slice 0 4 equals check dot slice 0 4. That would be the hash plus the first 3 digits on a 3-digit plus 1 alpha. And then else we'll take hash plus 6 digits, so 7. Basically. And then if we add this to here, I missed something here. Closing brace. I don't know. What do you think? We want to exclude the color alpha, or not worth the complexity? Because obviously I'm more worried about when will it go wrong in the future, you know? You're sending me your test puzzle. Well, let's test it on the test puzzle, I guess. Now the squares it will select, but the circles at the end of the thermal it won't select. Now the problem is if there's a even odd circle. Yeah, I'm also wondering if we want to make things a little fuzzy, but probably not, because this shouldn't happen in a real puzzle. They shouldn't randomly change it by 1. Although I've seen this where they hit a key or something and they moved something by 1 pixel and it didn't exactly, like visually it matched, but in the data it didn't match, and then my code basically broke because of that. So it's a little, you know, can get a little dodgy. So this does the color, the thermal check by ignoring the alpha in the color. So in something like this, where Bremster tried to make the thermals look a certain way with different alpha, this worked pretty well. Let's check it on our CTC features puzzle. Oh, this might be interesting as well, actually. It has these weird things outside the cells. Well, it finds all these circles, which is, I guess, not that impressive. Now here, again, these were completely non-standard, so it doesn't recognize these as thermals. Yeah, actually there's not much interesting here. And it doesn't select the outside ones, because it only selects things that are actually part of a cell. Hey, where's the test puzzle? It's not in the history. Yes, alright, I'm quite happy with this. Oh, what's the code error? Juke man, don't leave me hanging. What's the code error? Alright, let's just do a quick review. Hey, let's make this big so everybody can join in. So we've added size min, size max. We've improved is on edge to allow a negative check. We added color without alpha. Again, this is only working for the 8 hex or the 4 hex digits versions. We added this as a helper, removed some blank lines. We've added cell cosmetics and added to the list of things to check. Let's get rid of those extra blank lines. So feature check, cell cosmetics. That should bring that down there. And now on the actual smart select, which is 3 something. 3 1 3 1. It's gotta be here. It's gotta come 3 3 2 3 1 3 2 here. Smart select. So smart select, we have normal, center, corner, color, cosmetic. Cosmetic is added here. We've added cosmetic equals and get cosmetics as a function. We didn't use get cosmetics anywhere else. Nope. Okay. And we just added this as the lowest priority. And that's it. I think this is perfectly reasonable. All right. So let's wrap it up, and maybe we have time for looking at the diagonal lines as well. Otherwise, I'm just going to linger on this one. But we put this together pretty quickly. And this is a major feature, so we're going to put this in here. Let's actually push this. Edit cosmetic to edit cell cosmetics to smart select. And we have always the option of looking at lines cosmetics in the future as well. All right. So can I? Yeah, we can just take this. I didn't really need much of a branch for this. I really should rename that to main, I think. All right, and then we'll do a merge. Yep. And then we'll bump the version. No. Minor. And this goes under Mark's contributions. And this is version... wait a second. We need to fix that. I don't know. Let's see. be a 0. Just cleaning up the version numbers and adding it to the top of the file. There we go. Cosmetic Smart Select. All right. And is the version good? Yep. And I think these changes have been fairly minor, so I hope to be able to push that into main very, very soon before kind of going back to working on bigger stuff like the editor and so on. In fact, I have to update the editor now with all these features. Hopefully there's no conflicts and stuff. Let me publish that. And I'll push it on SudokuPad.app as well. All right, I think that should deploy everything. All right, so let's have a look at what was the other thing on our list? Diagonal pen lines, right. Now I hope that's not a huge, massive change. That's the settings, we've done that. All right, so diagonal pen lines, ooh, that's quite a lot of stuff. Because there's basically two aspects to it. There's the aspect of pushing the data in, and, well, three aspects. Rendering them, pushing the data, and detecting input, right? But from what I've had a look at quickly, it seemed to run fairly smoothly. Like, it feels perfectly natural. And it seems to work perfectly fine with on edge and center lines as well. And I think it feels good enough that I don't think we need to have a toggle for it. Like, I don't think we need to disable diagonal lines for puzzles, because most puzzles won't need diagonal lines, you know? But I think it feels good enough that the occasional miss sort of movement is okay to just undo it. I mean, obviously the full test will be for touch, because now you have a big chubby finger and a small space to move it in. All right, I think that's all that. So let's create a new branch. Nope. Feature plus diagonal and lines. And that's completely misspelled. Diagonal. Sorry if the bottom of the screen is not on stream. I'm just creating a branch on Git for this particular feature to keep myself organized, and in case I don't manage to finish it this week. So let's have a look at. Let's start from the rendering. So you've added. Oh, I think this is not totally up to date, is it? Oh. So we're looking at the 600, so that's the render. So ABC. Are these the diagonal lines? 9 and A? Because 9 and A is already taken. In fact, B and C is taken as well. Was this maybe done before the center lines? No, couldn't be. For the outer edge lines, I'm guessing. Ah, does this not support outer edge lines? No, it does. Then where's the render code? 4000s. 1, 2. What am I looking here? What did you add here? Vertical horizontal distance. and VHD. Path to sex 2. Center down right. Oh, is this the wrong branch? That's really bad branch naming, my friend. Pen diagonal and diagonal pen. Uh-oh. Well, we've all been there. Ah, here we go. All right. That makes more sense. So, you've added D, E, F, G. Okay. So, well, I mean, that looks neat and clean enough. So then, you've added mid and deer on that. So you basically just added a function called deer. Is that the... Oh, you've added direction as a return value of mid. Well, I don't like that because it's not an RC value. So we're gonna have to do that differently. This I don't like because a point is not RC and direction. These are RC values, right? In the future, these are gonna be converted to 2-element arrays anyway, so I want to keep that job as simple as possible. All right, so the rest of the work is in tool pen. All right, so 24. So that's early on here. Get center edge line. So let's have a quick perusal. So this is the final rendering stuff, actions being created and so on. 218, let's have a quick look at that. I'm always suspicious when there's changes like that seem unrelated. Erase mode, get erase mode, where's that? So you're removing is horizontal from get erase mode. Why? Why is it, did get erase mode get updated accordingly? Get erase mode between 140 and 150. Handle drag move. Is this what happened in erase mode? Required correction after rounding. This seems like a lot of changes in here. What happened? So you've added code to basically automatically detect if we're in a centerline mode or not, without passing it in. Is that a good idea? Is that necessary? Min to center, this center, min to center. Why did these get unwrapped? This center, you got rid of that altogether. Where is this center declared here? You've removed the this center declaration. This doesn't make any sense. Ah, this is not being used. Ah, yes. Okay, I see. It's just not being used, so you just removed the unused reference. All right. Yeah, that's dangerous when you're mixing refactoring with actual code additions. It can get very confusing very quickly. So this should be replaced with that. And I'm guessing... Yeah, that's a bit weird. It's like it was... Why is there comma and then blank? Okay. So you've added 1, 1, 1 minus 1. So you've added the diagonals as additional directions that we're checking. All right, fair enough. And the rest of the checks is the same, okay. And then these two are being replaced with all of these. So is horizontal. And that. So RCR1 is diagonal, is horizontal, is it? So you've replaced is horizontal with is diagonal. And so you've done this throughout. The problem is what we do need to know if something is horizontal or diagonal. So that information has to be then rederived elsewhere. So I'm a bit confused why you mix these two. And you've mixed some more refactoring in there. Let's see, grid. Because I'm not actually using grid here. And SVG render we are not using as well, so this was unused. Okay, fair enough. So then you removed is horizontal from get erase mode. But then you've added a whole bunch of code. So why? Required correction after rounding. So, but why is this required only for one of these new additions? Because we've added a whole bunch of stuff, right? We've added D, E, F, and G. And why does it only require it for D? Magic values. They worried me a little. All right. So, I hope I don't have to re-go through the code now. What's changed to the previous diff? Can you give me a quick outline? This has definitely changed because we didn't have a console log in here before. I guess I'll start over because no, I don't want to risk missing anything and I don't understand the code well enough to go blind. Tan. Always between 0.1. What does tan stand for here? It's definitely not the tangent. TAN. Why are we doing this? But this is not the tangent, is it? Oh, it is actually. Well. But why are we doing all of this? Why did we get rid of is horizontal, is vertical? Because with is diagonal. Man. I'm wondering if I should just derive it myself from scratch, if that would be easier than trying to understand what you're doing here exactly. Because I'm thinking now we just have 4 states, right? Diagonal up, diagonal down, you know, so instead of it being true false, we'll just have 0, 1, 2, 3. But then I wouldn't change like argument orders and all that sort of thing. Or force edge center. Like here, for example, this is just a comment, right? This doesn't do anything. So this get erase mode is horizontal is getting passed in. Did you determine that it wasn't required? Like, I have no idea why you removed, you know, so I can't determine if it's a safe change. That's the concern I have. You've just removed its horizontal here. Is it because it wasn't being used, but it's being used here? So get pen, you're passing is horizontal in, but you're not passing is horizontal into get erase mode. So where do you get that is horizontal from? So you, in your code, you're using is horizontal, but you removed it from the arguments in the function. So what, it just passes in undefined here? But it is passed into get pen. You see what I'm saying? You're still calling get pen. And you're passing a variable in there which doesn't exist. Like if I get rid of this is horizontal here, then when you're calling get pen, this variable is undefined. Therefore this will be undefined, and therefore this will always be circular basically. So not sure how you think this is working. Is it big enough? Can you see what I'm talking about? Minimum distance. Is diagonal min distance 1.0. So here you're fine-tuning the inputs. Here you removed this again. I don't understand why you're removing this. I mean, I understand that since you're not returning is horizontal anymore, you don't actually have it. Which is a bit... Yeah, there's definitely something wrong. Why wouldn't it be able to determine is diagonal? Of course it can. If both delta x and delta y are not 0, then we are diagonal. So, I mean, we could not pass in all of these things. The reason I passed it in is so I didn't have to recalculate it all over the place. So I'm not sure if I want to go through with making a bunch of changes that remove optimizations that I've left in there, because I was already calculating that information. So let's step back. Where are you removing that and why? I still don't understand why you're removing it in the first place. So I think it starts up from here. So this is get center edge line. So previously we calculated if it's horizontal or not. And now you've replaced it with this whole thing. But really what we want is, right? So, that is diagonal equals dx not equals 0 equals greater than 0 and dy greater than 0. First of all, this can replace all of this, right? Why must it, though? Hey, Jukeman. Sorry to hear that. Why did you post a date there, though? Ah, you. Sorry, Jukeman. So you're not seeing the chat on the YouTube channel. I'm talking to Mark, who is following on the YouTube live stream. Also, YouTube signed me out. What the heck? Is my YouTube stream just... Did my YouTube stream just close? Why can't I look at my stream? It locked me out of my live stream. That is concerning. You don't have access to this feed. What the heck? It switched me to a different account. No, it removed. No, what are you? Sorry, YouTube just logged me out of my streaming account. This is not good in the middle of a stream. YouTube, why do you do this to me? One second, I'm just gonna see if I... It not just logged me out, it removed the account. So I couldn't even switch account to it. It just completely removed the account. Okay. Can I now go back to the channel that I was... to my stream? Please? Okay, it let me get back to the stream. It removed the account completely. It didn't just log me out. This is bizarre. Yeah, Jigman, sorry, I'm talking to Mark, who's chatting on YouTube. All right, but he's not replying, so I don't know what's going on. Makes me want to start over and just re-implement it from scratch, because then I know what's going on, because I'm wasting so much time trying to understand what's going on. Let's ignore erase mode for now, because that's not really very important. It's changed many... Oh no, he just moved it to here, and then moved it. Change minimum distance to 1.0. Why? Again, why? Like, without knowing why, I don't want to just clone these changes. So then I'm guessing you're using isdiagonal somewhere? Because you're pulling isdiagonal out. Okay, just to change min distance. That's the only reason you're using isdiagonal. Because the whole point is to put these checks at one place rather than replicate them all over the place. So that's why I didn't want to rederive that information, because obviously you can rederive all that information from the two RC values. All right, looks like Mark isn't around, or his chats aren't coming through. All right, maybe he's busy right now. Okay, let's have a look at these then. This is where the line is getting assembled. So currently, this, I'm guessing, is after rc.c. So that's probably after here. For edge lines, and then what is this else for? If edge lines. I don't see this in context, and the line numbers don't match up because I haven't cloned all the other changes because I don't fully understand them, so I can just clone them in. So this is a little bit painful right now. F edge to bottom left, bottom right. And X9. If line type equals X, pen X. And X. 9 equals 6 equals 6. 8, 2, 9A, F, G, D, E. And I'm guessing the else is responding to this. center edge. Okay. And this is really what should filter out the specific types of lines, right? RC direction. All right. Let's try to. Oh, and let's change this path to sex direction. Path to sex direction. -1, 1. This doesn't make sense because direction. Direction math sign. The row difference in row multiplied by the difference in column. Why would you do that? Yeah, like this is some weird magic. I am not going to use that unless you can let me know exactly what you're doing there. So we're back to get a center edge line. So that's the thing that's actually determining what kind of line we're drawing. So let's have a closer look at that. Sorry, Mark. I mean, if you're around and you want to explain what's going on, that would be really helpful. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to start from first principles. I mean, it's kind of obvious what we're doing. It's just to get the feel right. And if you've done that work already, it would be great to be able to use that. So, what kind of lock are we removing to let us know if a diagonal is even available, right? Let's just output the dx and the dy. Yeah, Mark, what about all the others? Are you around? Because I've been trying to talk to you and I don't know if what I said has been going through. There's a lot of question marks there. So, don't know why the playback tool is on. So if I go up, all right. So let's just have a look at what you were calculating here before. Because like in a situation like this. Wait. How do I get diagonals already? Is there some other change I've added elsewhere? How am I getting diagonal lines already? Because I'm not putting those that doesn't make any sense. Because DEFG is nowhere. Because I'm not actually getting them. It's just in the preview. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Well, the problem is, I have a few questions, obviously, and I'm not gonna put it in unless. For example, why do you need the tangent? Why not just a line that's not a straight line, right? I don't understand why you calculate the tangent. Like, why didn't you just use this? Is there a particular reason? Not this. This, right? So these should always be the same. Okay, here they're not the same. So why are they not the same? Because at this point, we're looking at the actual coordinates. Okay, I get it. All right. So tangent is greater than 0.5. RC distance is greater than 0.5. Plus minus 8 increase in length is greater than 0.5. Don't go there. So tan. You see, it's very hard to actually get a diagonal here. In fact, I don't manage now at all. Like, why does it not see this as a diagonal? So if I go down to here... I understand, Mark. But the problem is, you're not answering all my other questions. And it would not be very responsible for me to just stuff it in there. So if you can answer the questions, that would be really awesome. I don't know what happened. Like, I don't know. It seemed like you were gone there for like a couple of minutes. Like, I still don't understand why you removed is horizontal vertical. Why didn't you just leave it in? Even if it could be determined elsewhere. Why redo that code? The whole point was to have all that code in one place, so I didn't have to redo it elsewhere. And also, yeah, okay, so let's start with an easy one, Mark. If you could, please. You're removing is horizontal, but you're not removing it here. So in get erase mode, you removed is horizontal as a local variable, but you're still using it here. So this instance is always undefined. And you're using it here as well. So all these if statements here are broken, basically. So the question is why? Why do you remove it and then still use it internally when you're not passing that value through? Oh, because you're calculating here. All right, oh, Jesus. You see, that's why I'm talking to you. You could have just pointed that out to me. So you've just basically removed this horizontal from there and moved it there. All right. So this is over here, huh? Now get pen is this whole new thing. No, it's right here. I just didn't see it before. It's not my diff merge, it's yours. It's not mine, it's yours. So now you've changed this. So isn't direction equals 0? One second. And I'm gonna get myself so confused here. So cell RC, that's unchanged. Penval is up here. That's changed. So is horizontal, you're determining simply by comparing the row values. Fair enough. Diagonal directions. rc.middir. What? rc.middir, rc2dir. No. rc.midtier. Let's not add that just willy-nilly to global things. Like, this doesn't even make sense. RC point doesn't have a direction. These are all RC points, right? So I'd like to understand what this thing does. So you're multiplying the signs together. Sorry, you're multiplying the deltas together. So this is our row, up or down, and this is multiplied by the thing. So if it's row up, I guess it's -1. And if it's times column left, then -1 minus 1 is 1. So up and... Okay, so this would be 1. And if it's to the right and down, it would be 1 as well. And then this would be -1. Right? Because delta R up down is negative, and delta column left right is positive. And if delta R is positive and delta column is negative, it would also be that. Okay. All right, let's find where this weird thing is being done. Okay. Guess you didn't use it anywhere else. Yeah. So diagonal dir. So for example, it doesn't make sense to pass that into this function when that's the only place it's being used. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. How can direction be 0? Oh, if one of them is 0, so we have a straight line. All right, fair enough. Yeah, dude, oh man, this is... You see, the amount of time I wasted just trying to figure it out, it would have been easier to just write it out explicitly, you know what I mean? It's really, it wasn't worth it. So let's make it explicit so I don't waste time like this again later in the future. So didn't I do this up here already? So dx. I think directionality here is not relevant. So this is gonna reduce my brain load here. If dx equal to 0, dy's... sorry. Dx is greater than 0 and dy is greater than 0, then we have a diagonal. So if dr equals 0, if not is diagonal. And I think we're going to turn this into a lookup matrix as well, because this is becoming a bit of a mess. So, hey Shelby, how are you doing? So, our pen lookup table is going to start with if we're diagonal or not, right? So if we're diagonal, we're here. If we're not diagonal, we're here. All right, so if we're diagonal, we have a center line, right? Blah, yada, yada, yada. So we do this. Center line, not the center line. And in here, direction equals -1. Direction is -1. Is that the only place we're using direction? Equals -1. Equals -1. Equals -1. So -1 would be... I'd like to have the inverse there. -1 is up. So that, you see, this is like the reverse of what makes sense, right? Because... so sometimes it's really much better to work it out explicitly, so you don't have to waste so much time trying to figure it out exactly. And what rounding here? R++. Rounding. What rounding? Let me get these definitions somewhere where I can see them. So for 1, 2, center line horizontal, and then we have I'm just gonna do this here. C center H center B and then we have 8A79. 8 is edge H is 8 and edge V is 8A. HV Why is the music not playing? Don't know why. Oh, because maybe I had to reload. All right. Oh, yeah. Oh, my brain. I'm slowing down. It's getting late. So center, verticals, and horizontal. Now, edge we have two. So edge, horizontal, top, bottom edge, right edge, top edge is A. And bottom is edge, horizontal line, bottom edge is 8. And now we have vertical left, vertical line, left edge is 9. And right is vertical line, right edge is 7. And that's basically these. Okay, now we have diagonals. And we have two diagonals. So we have center, die, the plus. So that's going upwards. So diagonal plus is for bottom left to top right. Center diagonal line to top right. So that's D. D minus is E. And then diagonal edge, edge, diagonal plus, bottom left to top right is F, and D minus is G. All right. Step 1. Now, our lookup table should be 3 dimensions, right? So this is, man, horizontal. This center line, horizontal. So that's basically the old pen function. So, to make things a little bit simpler and easier to remember, we're going to split this up. We're going to keep this function as is, and we're simply going to create a second function that handles only the diagonal lines. And then in the future, somebody looking at it isn't going to go crazy. So let's make sure I get rid of any changes I've made already. Okay. So now instead of doing any of this stuff here, so we have a get pen, right? And I don't think I've changed that yet. It's in the 160s. No. So another function we're gonna get is get pen diagonal, right? And our definition, our check if is diagonal is this. So let's have a look at how you're doing this. Diagonal direction. How do you check if it's diagonal? You're using diagonal direction. But I don't think we need to actually do this at this point, right? Now, is this all still in get erase mode? Because 1 second, this seems a little bit, because I don't care about erase mode for now. Is erase mode, get erase mode, center line is horizontal. Is erase mode, it's horizontal. Get center edge line, yeah, because this is the part we care about. So you've got these things in here. You've changed this from a constant to a let. So you can manipulate the minimum distance. All right. So this is now relying on the new get center edge line. It takes the same input still. So get center edge line here. You're expecting it to output this part. Okay. Now is horizontal no longer exists. And you removed it. All right, fair enough. Let's see if this diagonal is outputting something useful already. If I draw here, oh. This diagonal has already been declared. 63. Get pin has already been declared. Yes, 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 of course. I meant to rename that one now. Unexpected dot. Come on. What do you mean unexpected dot? PY. What the heck? RC has already been declared. Yada yada yada. 243. 243. All right. Now, why would it say is diagonal false here? That doesn't make any sense. Still says false, even though it's clearly above 0.5. What is going on here? And distance is greater than 0.5. ARC, BRC. How is this distance not greater than 0.5? Why would it no longer be a diagonal? Huh? Yeah, the thing is, you see, the number gets smaller the closer I get to the other end. So it's the inverse of that. So that does make a lot of sense. See, it gets smaller towards 0 as I'm moving my mouse towards the endpoint. Something is not right here. And I'm handling this elsewhere already. I think this is the whole... I'm not sure if this is supposed to be happening here. You see, that's one of the problems, is you're moving the responsibilities between different functions to different other functions. The whole point is that the distances and so on can be tuned elsewhere. And that's why I had a constant there for the minimum distance. So if you're putting the distance stuff in here, then suddenly you have a magic variable 0.5 in there, instead of having this all in one place and have this be a generic function that just returns information. Like, I think I could have implemented this by now if I would have started from scratch instead of trying to understand the code. And that's kind of a problem. The whole point is that we don't recalculate certain things over and over and over, right? Like, we have a distance already. Let's not recalculate it. You see, but that's not very clear from the code. We need to separate out these concerns. Like, why are you not using this distance, for example? Is this not the right distance here? Distance A center. A center scholar ARC. ARC is the first. Okay, so that's our distance from the first cell center. All right. All right, I'm completely lost now because I don't know anymore which code is yours, which code have I copied over and which one I haven't. So I gotta be careful here. So I think this code is the same here right now. This is unchanged. So these lines are needed. We have the tan. We removed 2 lines here. Is horizontal, remove that, and replace it with this one, this one, this one, and this one. Okay, so get center line is your implementation now. Now, get center line is being used down here. Now, minimum distance suddenly is not a constant anymore, which makes it very hard to extract those values and make them tunable, right? So, I'm not sure why we have this change here. Now, obviously, a diagonal line is longer, so maybe this it should be a percentage, you know, so this should maybe be multiplied by the square root of 2, rather than just arbitrarily be changed. Does the 1.0 actually correspond to the 0.7? Because this is basically, we want 70% of the line length, right? And if we're going diagonal, we have square root of so it's square root of 2, right? So we kind of want to multiply it by that, not just arbitrarily set it to that. Yeah, but you see, if I change this in the future, which you would expect it, then suddenly they won't match up anymore. In fact, I would like to keep this a constant and then have a variable. Let's do it something like this. All right. What's next? Never have magic variables in your code. If you have to explain it, it's already too late. Should always be self-evident. All right, is diagonal. All right, so this should be correct. Forget erase mode for a sec. In fact, let's just do this, because erase mode is actually fairly complex. Let's just bypass all of this. Now, path to sex deer. I don't want that. Because you're changing a whole bunch of stuff without taking into consideration what that stuff is actually supposed to do elsewhere. In like central generic libraries, right? This is stuff I want to open source for other people, and I can't just, hey, your RC, your XY coordinates are suddenly have a direction. People are going to like, what, why? So you are using path to segs, and you've added a directional component, which of course doesn't make sense because an XY coordinate doesn't have a direction. You're talking vectors here. Now we have segments. A segment could have a direction, right? So what have you changed? You're using mid-deer, path to sex deer. Yeah, we need to get rid of that from there. You're using deer where? Here. And the direction needs both, obviously. So let's go back to what this was originally supposed to do, right? So the idea was that each segment was uniquely identified by a center point, which is no longer the case because diagonals both share the same center point. So obviously this is not valid for diagonals. I'm trying to think. If it makes sense to reuse this at all here or just do something completely different. Because all this does is it calculates the midpoints for each segment, right? So we're starting from path. And path here should be the individual points that we've been drawing along. And then segments should be the center points between those. At its most primitive, right? So path, we have 2 items, and segments, we have 1. Now, previously, that was enough to uniquely identify each element, right? So each of these groups filters out the segments. Because if we kept the pairs of points for each segment, we could derive the direction from that. So each segment has an RC value. So what we could do is we could pass A and B through. And then we could derive... Because we could argue that we're returning segments here, not just RC points, right? So we could do something like this. We have our RC values. And so we have our midpoint here. Concatenating that in there. And here we can add No, wait, what the heck? No, this is wrong. Object assign here. And then these would be the 2 points, right? So we have an A and a B. Right, so now the segments have A and B in them, and we can calculate direction from those. All right. And then these are added where exactly? Under here, huh? So why do we have this only for edge and not for the center lines? Because it's already doing this here. If edge, and the whole else block is separate. All right, and then we have diagonal direction. And I'm gonna just, it's not a local constant. All right. Let's just pull it out into a local variable. I'm not happy where this is right now. This needs improving. But I'd like to get it working today at least, even if it's not ready for merging in. All right, so we have a function now. Yeah, and a bunch of this stuff needs to be simplified. Wait. rc.dir, so rc.a, rc.b. That should let us filter all the direction stuff. And we have this repeated pattern as well. I wonder if there's an easier way of getting rid of all this repetition here. So for example, here we're mapping and then we're filtering. Here we're filtering by direction. Then we're mapping to the center point, right? So for example, these two are the same. So F and G, can't we just do it by these and do the same thing like we did here? No, because line type is per draw action, right? So for example, what I'm saying is like this work is done twice. Can't we just put the filter to the bottom and then do this work once and reuse it? Is this work done for these as well? Add 0, -1. Here we're adding half. Don't we have an add vector, add scalar? Yeah, why don't we use add scalar here? Confusing when we're doing this weird extra stuff instead of using the proper functions. A lot of extra mental work. Don't have a lot of spare mental capacity. Now, why are these so different? Oh, because we're inverting the diagonals. Oh. I was gonna say, can we just map the cells once? But no, because they all have slightly different mappings. So the only thing we could do is map this one. Yeah, it's not worth it then. For that one duplication. Okay. So we should have all of this working now. And it should work from the corners as well. From the edges, I mean. Alright. So let's have a look at the erase stuff now. So we're calling getPen here. So the idea is now is to say, if it's this check, right? So we do is diagonal here, and then not is diagonal, getPen, right? Else getPen diag. And then getPen diagonal is basically just this. So is horizontal, no longer needed. Is horizontal here. So you said you calculated it on the fly there. Well, no, you said, it's being calculated here. Okay. So we put that in here. And then this is just this part. If is center line. Oops. Ah, but we need the direction. And the direction comes from, oh jeez. Well, we'll just do that. So then we want the diagonal, this diagonal of RC1 to RC2. And I've missed some brace somewhere. Center line, question mark, colon, that. So that's the only thing, because then now we don't have a diff on this. This has the same, we don't change this function at all. We don't have so many diffs for things that haven't changed. We're calculating as horizontal here. We're calculating diagonal direction for diagonal deer. All right, let's see. Ah, erase mode. Yeah, I think I locked that out down here somewhere. Erase mode, erase mode. Yeah. Okay. Seems to work. All right, so far so good. Here. Erase all the things. Oh, nope, that's not nope, that's not erasing either. That's erasing. And that's erasing. It's gonna take some testing on mobile to make sure. Yeah, you see, like, it's infuriating when you're not drawing the line that you're trying to draw. Alright, let's have a look at the diff, how it compares. So, we've moved the diagonal thing in here, so our script changes are much less. So all we're adding here is this for the segments, and then this. Okay. And I'm not too happy about the segment calculation. But the segment calculation might just have to move into the pen tool altogether, because I don't think I use segments anywhere else. So it might make sense for that just to live in here. And I need local functions there, so I need to create a little class like I've done with some of the other tools. So that's some refactoring that I should do. Let's make sure we don't have any extra rubbish around. So, update. So that's this. We got rid of these two lines. Combined these into one line, got rid of that. Okay. Got rid of that, just like you. Or force edge center. I don't know what this comment means, since there's no change associated with it. So we got rid of the is horizontal in erase mode, and we're just calculating it. Fine. And we've added the get pen diagonal function that implements the second half of this ginormous inline if statement. Not right now, not with this update. To be honest, I don't want to have too many settings, because it's the moment you require a setting, half the people aren't going to change it, and then people don't like using it. There's a lot of things that require settings, like large digits and stuff like that people don't change. So ideally it works well enough that you never need to disable it. That it just, you know, gets it correctly, depending if you're drawing a straight line or a diagonal line. So that's why we'll have to test it and see if that's actually the reality of it. All right, so we have is horizontal, that matches diagonal direction. We're using our function here now. Now we're using is horizontal diagonal direction here to either choose the existing pen function, and maybe we'll change that to get so instead of just calling it generically get pen, let's call it get pen straight. Not straight. What's the word? Yeah, it needs to work, right? I mean, it should work because diagonals are longer than flats, so you'd have to get the angle, like you have to mess it up really badly to get a diagonal line when you don't mean to, right? What's the opposite of diagonal? Oblique? Orthogonal. Thanks. That's what I was looking for. Right, so we have get pen ortho and get pen diagonal here. And one is horizontal and one gets diagonal dir in. And that way we have these if statements kind of split up a little. And there's a spare blank line. Now this I'm not entirely sure about. Pen val. So if the pen is a D, requires correction after rounding. So D is D is ABCD. Center diagonal line to top right. Why does that one need correcting? We're adding rows to this one. from bottom left to top right, and then we're moving it down by a row. Is it because the line is literally drawn upwards instead of downwards? Maybe it should always go downwards, no? From bottom. So we're adding half to the row and half to the column. And then we're adding 1.5 to the column. And negative 0.5 to the row. So you're drawing the line upwards. Upwards from left to right. From row plus... So you're drawing it from here to row minus 0.5 to here for this cell plus 1.5. Yeah, I guess this should be associated with this cell. Yeah, it's a bit of an odd one, isn't it? Okay, so you're handling the edge diagonals correctly already. I guess it's our get cells later on sorting it out for us. Alright, well, I think so far so good. Not sure about this though. Rounding. Where are we rounding here? We're not rounding anywhere. Alright, so now we're on to the actual assignments. What was I looking at? Erase mode, right. Erase mode. We just removed is horizontal. Fair enough. I mean, we could have just added is diagonal as a fourth output value here. Oh wait, yeah, this is what I wanted to get rid of. So, yeah, all right, that's changed. We pull the function out, and we added the 4 new lines, which are. Wait a second, why do we have 4? Oh, center, edge, positive and negative. All right. Whew. I mean, I didn't expect it to be a completely trivial update, so this one I'm a bit dodgy about. I'm tempted to move this all into the pen tool, then I can do whatever I want there. By line, so RC equals RC round. Yeah, well, RC round is actually RC floor. Still not sure why we need a correction. It's not really a correction. Like, I don't know why that comment is there, because we're doing the same thing here, right? We're just moving it into the right reference frame. So it's just that comment. It's confusing me, I think. Yeah, man, I'm not super happy about this stuff either. Because filter map, like these are all function calls, right? I mean, we're not time constrained here, so doing, you know, a couple of dozen function calls is not gonna hurt us. Yeah. The thing is, I don't have a place for local functions here yet, so I need to change the syntax for this so it's actually a closure. But I don't want to do that right now. Let me see. Path.segs. Maybe we can just move path.segs. Path to segs altogether. Because I think when I added them at the time, I was envisioning them as just general tooling. Like, these are probably not used anywhere. And I think it's literally only used there. So if I do something like this, I think that makes more sense. I don't think anything else is needed in here. Unexpected if. Toolpan 238. Yeah, this is stupid. Why is this so long here? Jesus. Even by my standards. It's a little ridiculous. I wonder if diagonals are actually harder to do. I mean, it feels fairly natural. It's just sometimes when I move it quickly, it doesn't do exactly what I expect. Because obviously now you only have half the angle that you used to have. Yeah, we need to test it a little bit. And it might make sense to have in the pen tool to have some toggles here rather than having to go back to settings. So instead of having an extra setting for enable and disable diagonals, I would, if anything, put a toggle here. I'm guessing that makes sense, right? Alright, let's make sure I don't have any weird stuff that I shouldn't have in here. And then RC Diag, where am I using that? Can I put this somewhere more sensible? I'm using it mostly here, but I'm also using it in here, aren't I? Alright, I think this is okay. I think this is good enough for pushing it into test at least. Because that's what it really needs. Lots of people using it and giving some feedback. Alright, edit diagonal pen lines. Alright. Right. And bump the minor version, because in my world major version numbers don't exist. And add the credits as usual. Number 14, man. I should add myself as soon as people are gonna say, hey, what's Sven doing? Alright. So, 017. Ah, shoot. I overwrote the version. Bump. Alright. And let's use that comment as our commit message. It's very sluggish today. I don't know why. Whew. And that should now be able to be used with any arbitrary thing. So something like this. Let's make sure there aren't any weird bugs. Should now enable diagonal lines. Now, one thing it doesn't allow is obviously switching over between corner and center, so having a line that spans both. But I can't think of a use case where that would make sense, like drawing from here to the center line and then continuing on the center line. I don't think that ever makes sense. So, yeah, it's my brain is kind of struggling right now. So the lines kind of like, if I do this, yeah. So the lines align in such a way that I can do a dashed line like this, basically. With half cell gaps between them. And then I can come out of here, but I could also do this. Diagonal kind of lines, so should be part of the pen tool. Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, it's... I mean, that's why I'm talking about, like, maybe 2 toggles in here. One for enabling disabling diagonals and one for switching edge to center lines. Because I don't know if there's any puzzle types where it makes sense to mix them both. I think it's only ever... They're only ever mixed together in cases where... where they're just used as sort of a helper. Let's say you have a snake puzzle and you're gonna draw this for the snake, but then you have a chaos construction and then using this to outline your chaos construction zones, that kind of thing. But as far as actual puzzles that people, like puzzle types that use lines, I don't think any would have both kinds of lines in the same type of puzzle. So it might make sense to just have a little switch here to allow the user to disable or to toggle from one to the other. And then it makes everything easier because then there's no risk of accidentally, you know, hitting the wrong one. So, to finish the stream, I'm going to play the current daily on Discord. So spoiler, if you haven't played it yet, you shouldn't be watching this. Or maybe you should, I don't know. Let's see what we got. Normal Sudoku rules applies, numbers placed in cells connected by a white dot. Must be consecutive. Not all such pairs are necessarily marked. I hope this is not cut off anywhere in the stream. So this is just standard Kropke Sudoku. All right. But since we obviously have a pen tool now, you know. Yeah, pity it doesn't let us test our smart select actually. So maybe this is not actually a good one. This is a very long sequence, huh? It's also a very long sequence. I see lots of 2s and 6s. I'm just gonna pencil mark them because I see them. So this sequence of 3 consecutive digits cannot be... Could it be 1, 2, 3? Could be 1, 2, 3 under the 4, or it could be 5, 6, 7. So this is either 1, 2, 3 or 5, 6, 7, which means this is either on either side of 5, 6, 7, which is 4, 8, but can't be 4, or either side of 1, 2, 3, which would also make it 4. It can't be on the other side of 1, 2, 3. So it can't be 1, 2, 3. And then this is 7, 6, 5. And that's the 8. Cool, thanks, man. Yeah, I hope it works out because it's quite an upgrade, and there's been a couple of puzzles people have been asking for. So let's see, it's either between the 2 and the 6, so 3, 4, 5. Or between the 6 and 9, so 7, 8, 9. If it's 7, 8, 9, this would have to be a 6. If it's 3, 4, 5, this would have to be a 2 or a 6. So this is always a 6. So this is always a 7 or a 5. And then this is either 4 or an 8. And then this is either a 3 or a 9. And I think we have something similar here. It's either 1, 2, 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, no, wait. It is 1, 2, 3. And this has to be a 4. 3, 2, 1. Not a 2. Okay. And then this is either 4, 5, 6, no, 7, 8, 9. So this has to be a... Oh, wait. 6, 7, 8, 9. 2, 3, 4, 5. Ah, it can be 3, 4, 5. So it can't be 7, 8, 9 because that would have to be a 6. So this has to be 3, 4, 5. And this can't be a 6, so it has to be a 2, 3, 4, 5. That's not a 4. Alright, so now we have a 2 here. 5's in the middle. Getting sore. Like, if I don't stream frequently, it really knocks out my voice. Kind of hurts, actually. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No 8s here. No 5 or 6 here, so that's a 9. And then we have an 8 here. This can... Oh, no 6 here. It's a 6. This can't be a 5. And then these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. This is just our sanity check to make sure I didn't just completely break everything. And down here we have 1, 2, 3. No 2s here. 1 and 3. Oh, right. 2's here. 2's. Okay. 1, 3 down here. 1, 3, 5, 7. All the odds aligned like this. Alright. I think we soon have to look at this guy in the middle here. 7. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Ugh. How am I gonna find the energy now to get some work done? I need to prep some things for Monday morning, which is tomorrow. I'm so tired. Alright, that's not a 3. So 9, 8, 7. 8. Not an 8 anymore. That's not a 7 or 9, so that's a 1. That's a 7, that's a 9. That's a 3, that's a 1. And these two are 4 or 5. That's 4, 5 here. No 5s there. Alright. 5 over here. Well, there's a bunch of stuff here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No 5 here. 5's here. Oh, she knows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No 6's here or here. And no 7 here. And no 8 here. Okay. 7's. 7's here. 6's. No 6 here. 6's. 5's. 4's. 4's. Oh, no 4 here. Okay. Let's repair. Okay, 3's. 3's and 2's. And 1's. Okay. Guess we're gonna have to look at the middle one. Been avoiding it. There's a 9 in here. That's about it. 9's, 8's. Oh. There's an 8 over here somewhere. Not so beautiful. Alright, so this is between the 2 and the 8. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, that's not a 3, that's not a 4, that's not a 5, it's not a 7. Definitely not an 8. Not a 6, and that's not a 5. So, this can't be a 3 because this can't be a 4. This can't be a 3 because we can't have a 2 either way. So 4, 5, this can't be a 4. 4, 5, 6, unless this, no, can't be a 4 because this can't be a 3. Yeah. So 4, 5, 6, or 6, 7. Can this be an 8? No. So this is 4, 5, 6, 7. And that should give us the rest of the owl. Pretty much. The rest of it should be fairly straightforward. 5. It's a 1, 5, 8, 6. 8 to do. Oh, wait, we're going down. This needs to be a 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. A 6. Guess this has got to be an 8. 4, 5, and 7. That's the 7, that's the 5. 5, not the 7. And this is a 1, 3 pair. The 3 over here. And 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No 8's down here. So that's an 8. It's a 1. It's a 4. Okay. So there's a 9 and a 3. And put 8 down here. So 5, 8 here. So 1, 3, 3, 7, 1, 9, 7, and 3, and 2, and 9. Finally, 1 and 9. That's it. 9 minutes. What does it get me? Oh, wow. I missed the double heads. But I get a party. All right. Yeah, sometimes the language switching can be tricky, eh, joke man? All right, that's it. So today we've actually managed to push 2 new features in. We have the diagonal pen lines, and we have feature smart select. Woohoo! That's actually kind of cool. Sweet. Thank you very much. This is, of course, thanks to the amazing work by Mark, TechFan, who's done all the code basically and prepared these features, tested them out and made them all work and figured out a way of getting them into my code without breaking everything else, which is the harder task, really. Yeah, that's something people sometimes misunderstand about certain kinds of programming, that the hardest part is not implementing a feature, but how to integrate it with everything that already exists. I'm gonna ask Ranks to put Mark TechFan's icons onto his server as well. All right, sorry guys, I'm just chit-chatting here on the other screen. Anyway, 2 new features implemented by Mark. Thank you very much. There have been a few Patreon signups today and yesterday, which is really amazing considering I feel like I haven't been, because I haven't been streaming daily after that initial bump, after I released the new features. There were like basically 1 new patron per week or something like that, which is still amazing, but and yeah, that's where we're at now. YouTube has slowly been creeping up. I think I lost 1 earlier today, so we're back down to 249, sadly. That's just how it goes sometimes. Yeah, we're down to 249. No, downgrade. I don't like it. And probably every time I stream, somebody will realize, hey, what the hell am I signed up for? But other than that, really amazing for the support. Really appreciate it. We're slowly creeping up on these numbers as well. But this is the really important one. That's all mine. That's the one I'm really happy about. And yeah, all of that available at patreon.com/SvenCodes. If you're not already signed up on the YouTube channel, I would appreciate a sub there. If you're listening from Twitch, because I'm trying to get to the higher numbers so I can get certain features for the channel. And if you haven't checked out the app yet, you can find all the links at svencodes.com. Sign up, subscribe, like all the other stuff, support the app, support the work, the ongoing work. The more support I get outside of SudokuPad, the more I can actually put free features into the free app and kind of create more community stuff, which is what I really want. Thanks, really appreciate it. Take care, guys, and hope to see you in the next Code Hangout. Have a good day, have a good evening, have a good night.